So this is our frog tutorial and it's going to be a little different, but this is what the final result is going to look like. I will be using my tablet with the digital tools that it has, so I'm going to give you some other tips if you're not using a digital tool. Make sure you have your reference photo. Right now you're seeing me make little guiding points at the highs and low points of the silhouette, so like the really sharp corners and the curves when it goes inward. If you can't trace it because you're working on paper and pencil, you can actually hold up your paper to your Chromebook or your laptop screen to trace it if you want. If you have to just draw it like normally, that's also totally fine. Just look at the outline or go to the cat tutorial to look at some tips. In the cat tutorial, I showed you how to break down an animal with basic shapes. So you can do that with the frog as well. You'll have like a really big circle for the stomach and some smaller circles and rectangles for its face. But again, it's totally fine to trace this too if you just want to hold up your paper to the screen. Just make it as bright as possible and you'll be able to see the shape. At this point, I am still making my dots, and in a little bit I'm going to take away the silhouette. So this is what I'm left with, just dots everywhere, and you're going to kind of just connect them. So just look at your dots, use the silhouette, the reference photo to help guide you, but you want to make it as geometric as possible. And honestly, I struggled a little bit with that with the frog because it is really organic looking, and the pen I used was very textured, so I think that's why it doesn't look as geometric as I wanted it to. But just keep on doing it, do your best. You can also totally just skip the sketching stage or the planning stage and just try to make a geometric outline if you're comfortable and confident with doing that as well. It doesn't need to look exactly like the reference photo. Once your outline is finished, you're actually going to draw random dots inside of the frog, and these will act as little points to help you create your shapes. So I'm basically drawing lines from the outline of the frog to connect to the random dots I put inside. And this is just to help you get started. You can totally just start drawing your own random shapes too. Remember, you can make any type of shapes as long as they are geometric. So I'm finishing up all of my shapes inside, and something to consider is that the more small shapes you make, the more coloring you have to do. So it's okay if you don't want a ton of tiny shapes like I did in the frog's limbs and its feet. These can be bigger, but I'm going to be really honest, it looks cooler when you add some of those small shapes as if you're adding some more details and stuff. So at the top on Procreate, which is what I'm using, I just picked my color palette really quickly. And remember, this one is complementary color scheme, so I'm only using different values of red and green. And honestly, there isn't, I didn't have a plan for this. I kind of just picked one color to start with and placed it all around the frog. You can definitely have a plan. Maybe you want greens in only one section and reds in another section, or whatever colors you're using, and that is completely fine. I let myself be really creative and just let my mind flow. So I didn't want to do any planning, but you can approach it any way you want. If you look at my example for the Google Draw one, I actually did a version without block lines, and that looks really cool too. So if you're whether you're doing it with a digital tool or with paper and pencil, you can just skip the inking part and make all of your shapes really light, and then you're left with just the shapes making up an animal instead of seeing all the black lines too. And that looks really cool. So play around with that if it's something you like.